Now, in English styles, folk music that have influenced me include Donovan from the UK, classic singer-songwriter. The American duo Simon and Garfunkel, again some great pieces of work there, perhaps more famous than Donovan. Neil Young from Crosby, Stills, Nash & Young, and of course Buffalo Springfield. Neil Young hailing from Canada. This is maybe his greatest album, The Harvest. And of course you cannot forget Mr. Bob Dylan, hailing from the Midwest but making his name in New York City. And the closest thing Japan has to Bob Dylan, maybe a combination of Bob Dylan and Neil Young, is this man here. Now, Okabayashi is perhaps to me one of the greatest folk singers Japan has ever produced. Now, many people may not know Okabayashi. Here, this album of Okabayashi's, which is a live album, is from Hibiya Park in Tokyo. I have two of his albums, this one here, and Okabayashi's greatest hits, which is this one here. So what makes him wonderful, in my opinion, is that he captures the spirit of Japan in the 1960s and 1970s. Now, most people today look at Japan as a very peaceful, quiet, gentle place. However, in the 60s and 70s, it was not so. Japan was actually quite revolutionary. Japan had undergone a lot of changes after the war. There was a lot of poverty. There was some reconstruction. There were some issues with American bases. There still are today. You had issues with world events. Vietnam, Korea. Japan produced its own communist terrorist organization called Sekigun, the Red Army. They supported the PLO. They hijacked planes, etc. At the universities, Waseda, Keio, Todai, Tokyo University, there were riots. Police had to be called in. The students were there was a revolution on the hands, and the old people of Japan didn't know what to do. The building of Narita Airport caused a lot of problems. We recognize now the necessity of Narita Airport, but during that time, there were many farmers whose livelihoods, whose history, whose heritage was built in Narita. And the government was forcing these farmers out, destroying their land, buying it up and creating an airport. And many farmers tried to fight back. And many students from Tokyo were bused to Narita to try and stop the bulldozers through peaceful means, through marches, through protests, through sit-ins, etc. Very similar to the issues that were happening in America. And just like those issues created Bob Dylan, these issues created Okabayashi. I really recommend you have a listen to him. Maybe his best song, in my opinion anyway, is a song called Sanya Blues. Now, Sanya is an area in Tokyo, and it's a poor area. And it's an area famous for what Japanese people call day workers. Day workers meaning people who don't have a full-time job. They work from day to day, usually doing menial laboring tasks. The area is still here in Tokyo. You can visit Sanya. It's a sad area. It's a sad area because these people, well, for some of them, this is a hopeless situation for them. They're coming from the countryside. They come to Tokyo, they stay in these hostels that they only pay a minimum rent per day. And if they don't get work, well, they can't afford their rent for that day. And it's a really sad affair, and it's a social problem. It's getting much better now, but back in his time, it was quite a pandemic. It was a real issue that the government refused, or maybe not refused, but the government did not address sufficiently. And his song Sanya Blues talks about those people and their dreams and their life, and it's both sad and moving, it's both beautiful and traumatic. So to me, he is the best folk singer. He is 100% the Dylan of the Japanese world, and this is Sanya Blues.
今日の仕事は辛かったあとは焼酎を煽るだけどうせ山谷のどや住まい他にやることありゃしねえ